How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse, and I am the curator for the Golden Age, and this is another
Lost Heroes of the Why?
What do you mean, why?
Why this one?
Because this is Lost Heroes of the Golden Age.
Oh, please.
Okay, this is a pretty stupid concept. This is a ridiculous cover, but this was the one I originally wanted to go over while diving into Harvey comics.
They have better heroes than this.
yeah, there are much better heroes than Harvey comics, but the bright side of this is once I review this character, I don't have to review him again. Yeah, this is a really insane concept for a hero. I mean, there were clowns in the Golden Age. Some were heroes, some were villains. This is the one that turned out to be a hero. I don't really know what the intention behind Spitfire comics were in the first place. The lead title, the lead cover, and it's really stupid. But this concept isn't much better, so I don't really know what Harvey comics were doing going into this, and I'd like to do more Harvey comic books, but I figured I'd get some of the more obscure heroes out of the way first, like this one, for instance. So you can go ahead and sit back and just see if you find this one as ridiculous as me. If you like what you're seeing here and what I'm doing, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button. That way you can be updated when I release my new videos. And I don't normally start things like this. If you do like what you see here, and there are some heroes that you want to see that I have not yet covered, there are a lot of them, you can always send me in a request. So let's go ahead and get into this clown. There's only 2 stories, so the lead-in doesn't have to be that big. And there are other characters in Harvey that I'd like to cover, but this is the one we're doing this time. So let's go ahead and get into the clown. The Clown. The Clown, Nick Nolan, first appeared in Spitfire Comics #1 in 1941. The original publisher is Harvey, and there is nobody who has been given creative by credits, and I'm not surprised. Now, it's interesting. There's only 2 stories, and this town has just got to be just horrible. Okay, so I'm going to read the intro to the first and the second issue. The peace of Newton has long since been a thing of the past. Gangsters and racketeers have taken over control of the whole city. Crime is rampant. Citizens are paying huge sums for their protection of their shops. The people are terrified. No one dares do anything. The police are powerless. With things at their worst, the clown steps in. And in the next issue, it opens with, the city of Newton is flooded with illicit traffic of narcotics. More and more cases of drug addicts are brought to the attention of the police. The investigations of the Department of Justice have proven fruitless. Several skeletons have been found with tags identifying them as members of the Investigating Narcotics Squad. Damn, that is a mouthful. No clues lead to the culprits. They are free to operate unmolested. That is until shrewdness and abilities of the clowns bring them to justice. Now, on the second issue, it says by Win. So somebody with the name of Win signed the second issue, the beginning of the second issue. So as much as it goes from there. Now, this is a completely ridiculous concept. The police commissioner is not allowed to keep the criminals locked up because he doesn't have enough evidence, so he decides to assume the moniker of the Clown. Now, in the first issue, he looks like a fat clown. Now, in the second issue, he does not look that way. He actually looks like what you would seem to be a more trim and buff superheroes with less polka dots, but still going by the moniker of the Clown. Now, he does use technology to help fight his crimes. In the first issue, I guess because in the first issue he has smoke bombs, and in the second issue he is assisted with suction cup shoes. It's just as ridiculous as it sounds. So let's go ahead and cover the first and second issue. I'm going to go ahead and mention what's in the second issue. The stories are not short issues. They're 14 pages long, even though there's only 2 stories, and I don't feel like doing that many segments. And the second story is really ridiculous. So, as I mentioned when I read in the second story, there was a flood of illegal narcotics that are circling around the town. It's pot. I really thought it would be heroin. It's pot. I'll even show you 2 pages right here, back to back, so you can see. I thought I'd call you in, Commissioner, not only because the seriousness of the accident, but also because of these marijuana cigarettes found in the possession of the young people. Yes, and there was another page over here. Right, Trig Racket, you're Trig Racket, aren't you? The man responsible for the dope and marijuana which the city has been flooded. Yes, the narcotic epidemic, which technically marijuana is a narcotic, the narcotic epidemic that is flooding the town and causing so many deaths, and it's marijuana. Yeah, and believe it or not, something like this in the 1940s, they did try to show the, the harm and devastation that marijuana can do. It was definitely demonized back then. But, yeah, this guy is running an illicit drug ring with narcotics. Now, the people in charge of the narcotic task force are being killed and stripped of their bones within several days, and we find out it is because of pit of piranhas. But by the end, the chief racketeer tries to push the clown from behind to make him fall into the piranhas, and here, I'll just show you the last 2 pages, and he moves out of the way in time. So, yeah, in the second issue, a lot more buff, less polka dots, but still a clown. Let's go ahead and cover the first issue. You don't even need to just see where they're coming from. It only lasted 2 issues. This is completely stupid. Let's go ahead and do this. As I read in, the peace of Newton has long since been a thing of the past. Gangsters and racketeers have taken over control of the whole city. Crime is rampant. Citizens are paying huge sums for their protection of their shops. The people are terrified. No one dares do anything. The police are powerless. With things at the worst, the clown steps in. Now, we don't start off with the clown. We start off with Nick Nolan, the newly appointed commissioner, faces a grave problem. Resolving to free the citizens of bondage, he calls the police and detectives together. Now, he does call them in, and you can see that they are trying to clean up crime. But, sir, we can bring in the hoodlums, but we can't make our charges stick. The citizens won't testify. Nevertheless, something must be done. And then we see down here, this is the guy who's in charge of the racketeering ring. Meanwhile, Harvey Judd confesses to his attorney. Now listen, Moore, you know what to do. When the boys get jailed, you just produce this writ of habeas corpus, freedom. Wait a minute. Is that what habeas corpus is? I guess it could be used that way. I mean, without any evidence that the detention of the criminals wouldn't be legal. So I guess citing a writ of habeas corpus would be enough to free them. So the next page, the raid is on. Police prowl cars roam the streets to pick up all the member of the protection gangs. And you can see that they know people who they need to go after. All right, Repulsive Mike, come quietly. You ain't got nothing on me, coppers. We see them bringing out another door. It's no use, Dopey. You better come quietly. The commissioner wants you. Is his name Dopey, or are you just calling him Dopey because you don't like him? Okay. Hello, Commissioner. Sorry to disappoint you, but you can't keep these boys. I guess you're right, Moore. I can't. Well, better luck next time, huh? He knows that he can't do anything, and he says, let's see. Me, the police commissioner, what a job. Too bad I had that family tradition to carry on. Oh, to be back in the old circus again. And that's when he gets the idea of the clown. And we can see him holding up this figurine and conveniently dresses like him. He got that costume together rather quick. And I mean, it seems like within a matter of days. Okay. So he's holding a sign saying circus in town, and we cut to the scene where these two racketeers are shaking down a grocery owner. He says it's $50 for protection. He says he's barely made that much this week. Guy says he doesn't care. You need to pay. And then he says, how can I ever live? And he said, that's not my worry. Just hand it over. Yeah, I mean, paying a protection, that's a pretty good thing. But if you drive the guy out of business because he doesn't have money to keep his store open or anything else, you're going to end up losing money in the long run because you're going to force these stores to close down. So it's actually a bad business model to take most of his earnings. His earnings should be like a percentage off the top of what he brought in. You know, like show him the books. Okay, 10% or 20% of your earnings. Because you want to have enough where you're getting money, but not so much that you're causing the businesses to close. If the business is closed, you don't collect any more money from protection. So that's actually a bad way to do things. So you should be taking up percentages. Anyways, the clown comes up next to him and he says, let's see, what do you mean pay for protection? Every smart guy who doesn't want trouble pays us weekly protection. And then the clown totally destroys these guys. And he drives across town to the office where Judd is. So he tells him that, you know, there's a circus in town and these guys have free passes. And he's like, wait, you took out two of my best men. And no one's ever done anything like this before. I want you to work with me. And he says, tell me, bud, what's your racket and who are you working for? I have no racket. I work for the circus that's coming to town. I'm an acrobatic clown. What's it to you? He's like, anybody who can handle himself against my two best men need to be working for me. And I want to go into business with you. And the clown says, if the profits are right. So, meet me at this warehouse so that we can take a look at the books and we can talk about working together. And this is just what the commissioner needs. He calls in his police. Call in O'Reilly and the rest of the men. I want to see them right away. Now, I looked at a number of different sites and I have no idea what this Crickle outline is. But it shows that all the sites are using the same comic because they all have this right here. But I've been able to read around this to the point where I can go, men, I've got this tip that I think is going to break the protection racket that has Newton in its grip. I want this old empty warehouse down on Pier 80, I want the old warehouse down on Pier 80, a complete covered tonight at midnight. Okay, I didn't read that wrong. I'm sure our raid will uncover something that will be very interesting. So he goes over the plan of how he wants, this place covered, and there are two men on lookout. Now, the boss has set this thing up at a warehouse so he can meet with the clown. That's what this whole situation is for. So when the clown shows up, they act like they don't know who he is. Hey, what are you doing around here? This is the bad section of town at night. Don't worry about me, boys. Some passes to the circus is coming to town next week. These guys should know that the boss is here to meet the clown. That's why the clown has showed up. Hey, what's going on out here? Hello, nice to see you again. Sorry I had to mess your face up, but quickly, I have business with your boss, Judd. So these two guys outside, they're trying to shoo the clown away. The boss is like, hey, I'm meeting somebody. He's an odd fellow dressed as a clown. When he gets here, let him in. I mean, the panel is stupid. Why would these guys guarding the pier not know that the boss is there to meet the clown? I mean, saying it out loud sounds ridiculous, but that's what he's there for. Okay. See, I'm glad you showed up. Here are the books and records for you. Boys, our new member. See? Why didn't the guys outside know that this was the situation? Okay, so the raid starts and the cops come in and start beating up the bad guys. But Judd and Moore, his attorney, slip away through the trap door. I can't let them escape now. If they did, we'd be no better off than before. They have all the evidence with them. So these two escape through a trapdoor with the evidence, and the clown follows them to their hideout, and he wants to get in before they destroy the evidence, and somehow he ends up here. He doesn't have these suction cup shoes yet. He doesn't have that till the next issue. Or at least that's when he tells us about them. Okay. So he pops through the window and says, hello, how's tricks? What are you doing here? So, put your hands up. I get it now. It was you who called the cops in our meeting tonight. You start talking and talk fast. You're on the spot and you know just a little too much. So he says, hey, if you're going to kill me, at least let me juggle a little bit first. I can't even. I seriously can't even. Okay. So he allows the clown to start juggling, and he makes it seem like he dropped the ball by accident, but then the gas starts spilling out everywhere. Help, I can't breathe the gas. Why, you rat. The gas will hold them in the arms of Metamorpho. Good thing this is a gas mask tube. Okay, now there's a problem with this. First of all, I had to look up the arms of Metamorpho because I've never heard it before. It's basically being in a state of unconsciousness, but Metamorpho or Metamorphos is spelled wrong. There's no O. Morpheus. There is no O in this. I looked all over. The arms of Metamorphos. There is no O. I don't know how this missed the quality control. A guy, such as myself, who's never heard of this phrase before, didn't even know how it was supposed to properly be spelled, found out there's an O that didn't belong there. Now, I do have the benefit of the computer before me, so I'm able to look these things up. But if that was a phrase that was used back then, it should have been spelled correctly. So there is an O that shouldn't be there. Thank God there is no arrows for me to point this out too. Okay, so coming up to the last couple of pages, he starts looking at the books and seeing the evidence, and then Judd wakes up. He hits the clown so hard that he knocks his face off. With his mask off, the clown acts fast and delivers a quick knockout blow to Judd. Now to redo my mask, it wouldn't be good for you to know who I am, would it? So he re-knocks out Judd, and this time he ties everybody up, which he should have done the first time. Okay, so we get into this. He calls the police headquarters and drops a tip. And then in the paper, it says, $6 million protection racket broken. Judd Moore jailed. Judd, Moore, talking about these two people being put in jail. $6 million protection racket. I factored that into today's money. That's better than $130 million. So it would be $130 million by today's standards. Okay. Let's just read these last couple of panels here. And we thought that tip was a phony, but sure enough, there they were, bound, gagged, quiet as lambs. Sounds crazy, sir, but there were money, records, and all. There's no doubt of their conviction now. Well, little clown, you had a busy day. If it hadn't been for you, our citizens would still be paying out money for protection and our police cutting paper dolls. Okay. That's the clown. I hope you enjoyed this one. This one was... It's another spelling error. And this is the same comic book that did Natterson Square Garden for The Fly, man. I mean, how do you let things like that go through without being noticed? Anyways. I hope you enjoyed this one. I hope you're liking all my videos. And as I said at the beginning, if you have anything that you want to see that I haven't covered yet, send me a request. I've done a lot, but there are still a lot more to do. And the more obscure, the better. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.